Can you hear me okay? Um, like Stephanie said, my name is Helen, um, and we lost both of our twins, one at a time. So it was difficult, but pretty much like I always knew I was going to have twins in my lifetime. Uh, and it just so happened to work out that I'm married to a twin. Um, so it kind of worked in our favor. And of course, we were ecstatic. Uh, we got pregnant in 2015. And up until, well, I guess right at the beginning, we went for our 9-week checkup just to see, you know, how many babies were in there. And there was 2 for sure, but we had a third sac, which was empty. So it was classified as a triplet pregnancy. I just miscarried the fraternal triplet, which I know I did the week prior to, just from what we were going through, I guess. But because of that, my local OB didn't really have any experience with that because, we're in the central United States. So he sent me to one of the bigger hospitals in the city. I want to say I got in at like 10 or 11 weeks to be seen by the specialist, who then confirmed that they were identical twins, and then kind of piled on all the, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But to my knowledge, TAPS wasn't actually discussed or even a possibility. So I just vaguely knew about twin to twin transfusion. And I kind of pushed that out of my mind, of course, because I was, well, nothing's going to happen to me. It's all going to go smooth, especially since my particular specialist doctor seemed to be very cocky in his knowledge of successful twin pregnancies or triplet pregnancies at this hospital. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's rubbed me the wrong way from the very beginning. But we were seen twice a month by him, and I continued to see my local OB once a month, just in case, I did have to deliver in town, like on an emergency. He would know what was going on. Everything went smooth sailing up until 23 weeks. And we went to our specialist appointment 4 days before Christmas in 2015. Completely expecting to be told everything's going fine. They look like they're growing well. And that appointment, there was like nobody else in the office except the doctor and the few nurses. And we were told that it looked like a very severe case of TTTS, and he needed to refer us to the closest hospital that performs the laser ablation surgery to get a second opinion, basically. And, 4 days before Christmas, we really didn't have the money to drive 8 hours straight. But, people made it happen. They gave us gas money there in the office, like they gave us their Christmas money. The nurses were amazing in his office. So that was a super positive that I distinctly remember. So we literally drove all night after making arrangements for our 3-year-old daughter to stay with family. And we had a 10 o'clock appointment the next day to be seen by the specialist in Houston. And it took like 3 hours to get all the ultrasound pictures from every angle imaginable. It was exhausting because not only had I been up all night, I also didn't have breakfast. So that was a negative. But, I was staying positive. I was like, nothing's going to happen. They're just going to tell me that, we drove all the way down here for nothing and then we'll get to go home because we were, before Christmas. But no, they pulled us in the room and they explained the difference between TTTS and TAPS and told us that our girls had stage 3 TAPS. And they really, really were pushing the surgery. I mean, we talked with this doctor for an hour and a half. And my gut told me not to do it. But my husband wanted me to do it. My parents wanted me to do it. And so ultimately, yeah, it was my choice. But that's what I regret, is not listening to my gut. Not that it would have made a difference, probably, but you never know. At that same time, I hadn't had any kind of surgical procedure, not even my wisdom teeth taken out. So of course I was very, very scared because you have to be awake during the laser ablation the whole time. And it happened at 5 or 6 a.m. the following day. So what should have taken, an hour to an hour and a half, my surgery took 3 hours due to some bleeding and, of course, me going in and out of consciousness because they wanted me to stay awake. A super big plus to my story is the anesthesiologist. He was very good at his job because when I realized it was really taking longer than it should, he held my hand and he comforted me because there was so many people in the room and my husband wasn't there to be there during the surgery, So according to them, they did the surgery. They wheeled me back up to the maternity ward after I had been checked over. And so on the morning of the 24th of December, we had a super fast ultrasound by one of the doctors who had been in on the surgery. And they were like, oh, yep, look, there's 2 heartbeats. It looks like your surgery was a success. She did explain to me that by the time they did our surgery, the TAPS had progressed to stage 4. And there was a lot of the blood vessels were really, really small, connecting them both. So and part of the bleeding portion also is why it took so long, she said. And so with that good news that we had 2 heartbeats, we drove 8 hours back to Oklahoma to be with my daughter on Christmas. And we were told to follow up a week later with our specialist in the city. And so on December 31st, we're all, holly jolly, had a good Christmas. I'd been feeling tons of movement in my belly, which, is always exciting. And so we went in and the ultrasound tech was like, yeah, there's twin A. And then she kind of moved down and got real quiet. She printed off twin A's picture and hurried out of the room saying the doctor will be there soon. And of course, my husband is crying. And I'm like, no. I was like, this is just a joke. They're going to come back in and they're going to find twin B. Because she had always laid really low in my belly. So I'm like, maybe they just can't find her. But no, the doctor came in and did the scans and said that we had lost twin B about 72 hours before that particular appointment on the 31st. He went out of the room and kind of looked over the notes from the surgery from Houston and came back in and explained that it very well could have been possible that because the TAPS had progressed so far that even after surgery, our anemic twin was just too far gone and her heart couldn't hold on. So he prints off some more pictures of twin A, goes ahead and has us schedule a follow-up appointment, of course. And all the while, my brain is still telling me this is just a bad prank and everything's going to be okay. So why would we go through all of that the week before Christmas just to lose one? So we didn't announce it that we lost one until January 1st because I didn't want to ruin anybody's New Year's Eve, of course, because we had a lot of people following our story, a lot of people following our pregnancy and cheering for us, you know. We had weekly visits for 5 more weeks, and all of them showed fantastic improvement of our twin. And we were told many times by our doctors that we were on track to carry full term of 40 weeks and deliver naturally. We were also prepared during that 5 weeks that once our twins were born, the other twin that had passed away would not be recognizable and would probably be paper thin and just a clump of cells in mass. And so for 5 weeks, I prepared myself and I mourned the loss of our twin B, who we named Alice. Frankly, I just find Alice like a very classy name. And so I knew she probably would have been a very classy girl. But on February 1st was our 5th week appointment with our specialist, and he was like, well, everything looks good. It looks like we can schedule you for 2 weeks out and go back to just seeing you every 2 weeks because things are going so well. And I'm like, okay, cool. But on February 2nd, my mother-in-law and my daughter and me were driving around town to run some errands. My mother-in-law goes in the store, and all of a sudden, I cannot breathe. I have severe sharp pains in my chest, and my stomach is just tightening up. By the time my mother-in-law came out of the store, maybe a minute later, she didn't realize that anything was wrong until I start pounding on the